Yo, what up? What up? What up? Just checking in. Um, as usual, I kind of just treat this like my personal journal. So this is really just more so a reflection of myself. But I really want to come on here. Hold on, it's a mosquito. Mosquito's been tearing me up. Um, Currently on a break or pretty much charging this electric car, and that takes anywhere from. I mean, if you're just doing 80%, it can go to about 30 minutes. If you're trying to do a full charge, it could be an hour and a half. If you've been reading any of my Substacks, you know that I drive Uber, been back in the States since about January, and still on my trading journey. And I kind of want to just use this as a point of reference for my trading journey because I definitely have been battling with how to say risk management and discipline. And a lot of people, like all the videos that you kind of watch are true. Like about whenever you mention that you're trading to somebody and they say, well, how much money have you made? And you're like, well, I'm actually negative $5,000. And they're like, okay, yeah, you're not a trader. But I mean, it's all a part of the journey, and those will honestly eventually be the same people that when you do transition into a profitable trader, um, they'll come back and say, hey, can you teach me? But by then it may be too late, or not even too late. But I think that why a lot of people don't teach trading is because they understand. You get to this point of understanding, like, it really has nothing to do with your strategy. It's really all about your mentality and your discipline to just follow your rules. And you hear it so many times. Like, man, I watch so many YouTube videos. I'm like, I don't even need to watch another YouTube video. Just off the simple fact is, I know what I'm doing wrong, and I just have a bad habit that I have to break and I have to fix, and I owe it to myself to fix it. Um, while I was in Thailand, it seems like maybe because I didn't have access to a lot of capital, but it seemed like my trading just flowed a lot better. Like, even though I was in losing trades, I wasn't losing as much, and my win percentage seemed to be up as well. Even though I'm still was cutting winners early, um, it just wasn't like as bad as a curve. And when I got back, like within 2 or 3 months, like that curve just dropped even more. And I think you go through this cycle, or I would say I go through this cycle of I win. I guess they call it the something and bust cycle, where you're like you win for like a week. You're like, yeah, I got this, and then you go back into that next week and you lose 2 times as more. Um, and so right now it's kind of trying to break that cycle because when you hit that point of like, um, I just thought about what I really need to say, but when you hit that point of that bust, you almost feel like, man, my strategy. Well, at least for me, I feel like, man, my strategy doesn't work, and you almost kind of abandon the strategy, but it's not the strategy. You yourself, me, broke the rules. And hey, if I was down $40, I was supposed to stop. That was supposed to be my max drawdown for the day, because I do have a small account. I'm trading cash. I'm not doing prop firm. Um, so that was supposed to be my max loss, and I was supposed to walk away from that. Instead, I didn't, and I ended up losing $150, $200. You know, but the biggest lesson that I have to say for myself is learning how to lose. Even my homeboy Eric was like, bruh, like, see how you react on a red day. And that's something that I had kind of been like questioning myself about. But it's also like when it happens, how to pull yourself out of that rut or whatever you want to call it. Um, Nobody really likes to lose, but in trading, you're going to lose. So you have to really come to an understanding with yourself or with your own psychology about, hey, how can I take this monetary loss? Because you're not only dealing with the loss, you're dealing with your relationship to money, you're dealing with your relationship to trying to be right, to trying to understand something. And to be honest, sometimes there is no understanding of the market. There's only really what happens while you're watching it, what unfolds. And you don't want to try to be a predictor. And here's a point example. I'm only about I'm on year 2 of my trading journey, like full time, but I had never really played earnings or like they always say like look out for FOMC or look out for all these different things. So one thing that I've really been learning lately is if there's a key event or a big event, you will literally see just the volume just pulled out of the market, and there will be nothing going on. And just the less like you hear these things all the time, but it's not until you. Well, I'm like the type of person that I have to touch the fire in order to learn. And that sounds horrible, but that's just my personality. Um, so like you hear these things about FOMC and earnings and be careful with this and be careful with that. But until you're in a trade and you're like, oh man, this trade is going up, there's volume, and then all of a sudden there's like a rug pull and there's no volume nowhere else, and then this trade starts turning around and you lose money, and then you go into this whatever you call it cycle where you're trying to get your money back. Um, those are the things where it's like, okay, now that I know that, or now that I've experienced that, when FOMC comes around, I'm gonna be super careful, or I might not even trade that day. Or sometimes, like if it's a key event, you might not really see any volume during the week until that key event happens. And so the thing that kind of sucks about it, or at least when I was like watching, I'm like, okay, we waited till Wednesday for this key event to happen, and then nothing even really happened after it. And they'd be like, well, wait till the next day, and on the next day is just like no crazy volatility or nothing. It's just still like a regular day. Okay, the stock goes back up or the SPY goes back up, because that's mainly what I trade, SPY. Um, so yeah, like even with earnings, Nvidia, I was like, okay, everybody says it's gonna be a good earnings. That should mean that the stock should go up. Wrong. That's when I learned it doesn't matter about the numbers. As my homeboy said, like it's not about the numbers, it's about what they say during the keynote or whatever the case may be. So that was another lesson. Like, okay, even if a stock is doing good fundamentally, that does not determine how the market is going to react to that. People are looking for something else. You're playing with human psychology. So these are just all small tidbits and all lessons that is like you think that stock trading. I mean, I think you go through this point of like, and I've seen these too on Instagram, where it's like you start off at this point, all to take this big circle to end back up at this point, and now I'm coming, no pun intended, but I'm coming full circle to that moment of like, okay, you start off fresh and it's like, oh, is it going up or is it going down? And then you start watching videos and it's like, okay, I need to do trend lines and I need to do SMA and I need to do MACD and I need to do VWAP and I need to do all of these other different things. And then you're like, man, should I be doing ICT? Should I be doing price action? Should I be doing strat? And then you're just like, okay, cut all of this stuff, take everything off the chart. What am I actually using? What do I actually understand? Because that's another big thing as well. You have all this stuff on the chart, but you don't really understand how to really use it to your advantage. You're just like, oh, well, for me, MACD is green, I should buy. No, that's not how it works. It's actually just showing, well, to my understanding, just showing the strength. But that could be during that one candle, then the next candle, it could be totally different. Um, so yeah, you learn all these things, and then you pull back, and then you just come back to, okay. For me, my key things is, do I have the patience? Because another thing is that whenever, here's another thought. When people say journal, that really does help. Maybe not for everybody, but for me, because I can go back and I can mark out my trades. I look at it on TradingView, and what I notice is that, okay, all my trades are in clusters from 9 to 10:30, or I mean, well, my time 8:30 to 10:30 or something like that. I've taken 4 or 5 trades back to back. Like, oh, take a put loss. Oh, take a call loss. And what I started realizing was like, okay, you want to be patient enough to enter certain trades, because if you start looking for like these key levels that people talk about, for me it just might be, okay, this morning low, and then okay, it's reaching this morning low, it might bounce off this potential morning low, and that's where I might risk, um, because I'm just mainly scalping, at least right now, and that's where I might risk. Like, okay, I'm willing to risk stop loss under here, or stop loss for me. I can't do 4 candles, so I might just say, hey, stop loss is at, once the option is down $15, I have to exit. No if and buts about it. Um, but yeah, you just begin to notice these small intricacies. I just want to use that word. But yeah, you begin to notice all of these small things in which it's like, okay, had I really just been patient and taken 3 trades, and not just any random 3 trades, just, okay, it hit this key level. Okay, today the stock was bouncing off of the 200 EMA faithfully. So had I really just, okay, noticed, like, okay, boom, it hit the 200 EMA, it bounced. Okay, it's coming back to the 200 EMA. Let's try to take a trade off of that once you get whatever confirmation or whatever. Because it's going to do something different. Today it might be the 200 EMA. Tomorrow it might be bouncing off of the 50. The following day it might be bouncing off of the 9. Today it might kind of break these EMAs kind of, and use like these key um, pre-market levels. Like, I think it uses different things daily, but to be able to see a pattern and catch it in real time is kind of the hard part. But you do have to be patient and be open to looking, and not just be zoomed in on, oh, the stock is moving. And that's been my biggest problem. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to get on here and ramble, just about my own personal journey. I am planning on going back overseas, just currently getting funds together, getting things together. And yeah, we'll see how the rest of the year goes. And yeah, another thing, digital income, man. Like, I rushed to get over there without digital income. So that's the reason why I had to come back. And that's what I'm working on right now. But it's all a part of the journey. It all works in my favor. And yeah, that's it. Peace.